What's up, guys? It's your boy Christian Matthew Rojas. I am going to be playing Lin Lai in the new um, short film Iron Fist Legacy, which takes place in the Iron Fist and the Timeless Sword um, timeline, which is, technically going to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at one point. And yeah, well, today we're just going to be doing a watch party for the Iron Fist series to brush up on lore, and I think it should be pretty cool because I haven't watched this probably in a couple of years, so it's good to kind of like have that refresher. And right now I'm just simply looking for my earphones, which I cannot find, because I don't want to have any audio kind of like leak out. Um, as I'm recording this, so you're listening to me in real time. Uh, Look for my earphones. I'm gonna pause this and then we're gonna keep going. So I am going to lower the volume because I can't find the um you know earphones for some reason. Okay, so we get a shot of Harold Meacham. Something about the Netflix um something about the Netflix shows is that the quality of the cinematography is just like beautiful. It's very like gritty, and it's something that I think that Daredevil Born Again. I think Daredevil Born Again did something different, and I respect that. But I think it really, in comparison to just the feel for the Netflix shows, just it was just it's. I feel like the Netflix shows had more like of a homey feel, like you're watching it and it's like a really comfort show kind of thing. And one thing about me when I watch stuff, there would be times where I talk a lot, and then there would also be times where I just don't say anything. Right? Oh my gosh, I messed up. What happened? It just completely like. Was that even the first episode? I think I was on the 13th episode. I think I messed up. Goodness gracious. What a day, what a day. Okay. So it's loading. It's loading. Well, while that's loading, I guess we'll talk about where we're at so far. Oh, well, I guess we're not going to do that because it just loaded up again. Just making sure I'm on the right episode. Okay, cool. Here's the Marvel logo. Okay. It's the same one you see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, we get the theme. And on top of the Iron Fist show, we're also going to be doing another. We're going to be rewatching another show as well. And it's not a Netflix Marvel series, it's another series that came out on another platform. And it is also related to, this short film. Because I feel like it's important to watch it because both of those concepts really tie into the whole overarching thing, because this is like marrying my two, like you know my two loves in terms of like the Marvel IP, which is one of them is the Netflix branch of things. I was actually a big fan of the Defenders when it first came out, so when they announced, I'm gonna get into all the nitty gritty of it, but basically all of this is just the whole goal is to kind of bring back the whole, like the I think the era of Marvel back in 2020, like the mid 2010s, right? Like 2015 through 2018, 2019. I think the whole era of Marvel, was pretty epic. I think it was very connected, and like I said, like that was when the my favorite kind of like projects came out. We're gonna start. Okay, so we see Danny walking through the streets of New York, barefoot. Because apparently that's how they dressed in Kunlun. I guess they didn't wear shoes, maybe, or maybe he just likes the feel of walking barefoot. I personally do not like being barefoot. Um, Not that anyone was asking, but it's weird. So we see him bearded here in the series, and I think this was like the first screenshot that we ever got of him, of like being on set. Of Finn Jones is being on set, and I think Finn Jones is a pretty good actor. Um, but it's just I don't know. Like I never imagined him as Iron Fist or anyone. Look. I think the popular, not to date it, but like the popular, um, I'm multitasking right now. I'm watching while I'm talking, but um, like the popular fan cast at the time for Iron Fist was Zac Efron, and it's weird because Zac Efron's been in kind of like that rumor territory of like being like in talks with Marvel for a role, and now like it's been probably like 10 years and he still hasn't gotten one. So, um, yeah. Okay, so this whole thing with Rand Industries and like his whole kind of like birthright thing, it's kind of giving me like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 vibes, except obviously his family does own the company and he's not like an Osborn, right? Um, but yeah, it's like he's if Daredevil was like technically Daredevil came out first, so he's like the Iron Man of the street level. But he's also like the Captain America because like in terms of wealth, he's not like super rich. So the Iron Man of the Defenders would technically be Iron Fist, which is they both have iron in their names as well. Okay, so this fight choreography right here, not to nitpick, but I don't know, like it didn't feel. I didn't like it very much. Like I think the fight choreography for the Daredevil shows, like there isn't much of a distinction. You can barely really see the like kung fu. Like I would expect something more of like if you've seen the most recent like Karate Kid movies, like kung fu to that effect. Obviously Iron Fist, I think he practices multiple martial arts, but seeing this fight choreography, I don't think it really like reflected. And we probably will be doing a season 2 as well down the line. But this is like kind of just a representation of season 1, which a lot of people didn't really like. But I think it had a pretty decent story, and I just didn't like the fact that he didn't have a costume, like a suit. Like Daredevil got a suit. Um, you know, I don't know what they were trying to do with that. I never did. Um, there was a rumor that he was gonna get it in Defenders, and that never ended up happening, which is just weird to me. But yeah, I that's my biggest gripe with this. Okay, so this comes the most unlikable character that I've ever seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, Coming in the form of Joy Meacham. I just never really cared for her. I liked her brother more. Like there was that interesting arc of like her brother being kind of antagonistic, but then being like Danny's kind of like spoiler alert, partner by the end of like season two. Um, yeah, watching this, like in terms of like I don't know who did the casting for this. I don't know if it was like Sarah Finn or some other casting agency. Yeah, I'm not bagging on them in any way. They've casted well with the other characters, but I think in terms of um, like heck, I was even okay with Mike Coulter playing Luke Cage when I was always thinking of someone more like maybe Terry Crews playing the role. Obviously, it was based off of that actor, I believe, but the whole fact that like I think Danny Rand, from what when I've read the comics, like I read recently the more Iron Fist, like there's an aspect of him that's like I consider him more of like a kung fu Spider-Man. Like he's supposed to kind of have that vibe. And he didn't. They kind of leaned into him being which that is an aspect of him. It's more like they leaned into him being more of a monk with like anger, like he needs to suppress his anger in order to master his chi. Um, it just didn't sit well with me. I think they could have. I don't know if it was direction or if it was just just the casting, but just like I said, like he just didn't give me the Iron Fist vibe. Nothing against the actor; he's a good actor, but and I think he kind of got that redemption arc in season two. Obviously, like season two and Defenders, he was more like that, but in season one, he wasn't really. I don't think they want you here, bro. Even if you were Danny Rand. See, this is the part where he's like, okay, he's like, I don't know, he's remembering things. That was really what they were focusing on, and I do respect their the creative aspect of this. This is like kind of, they're trying to make it like in the comics where he would have these flashbacks during a fight, but in the comics he also had his costume. So I don't know. Come to think of it, this doesn't really fit the whole Netflix vibe because like Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, like they had like a specific vibe. I think this series tried to be different, but ultimately it didn't have anything interesting to offer initially. And I think that was what made people. I'm gonna need to look into that though, like why people didn't like this show. I mean, season one at least, and I'm gonna like kind of like dissect that. And to kind of delve into it, I think the 2020s was the era where movies tried really hard to be like to kind of do a lot of fan service in terms of like similarities to the comics and stuff. Um, but I think this was still an era where they were still trying to stray away from copying it page per page or look per look. So I guess that's what it was. But like I said, like the show just didn't really have anything interesting to offer, which is the issue. Okay, so that was pretty cool. He used, I guess, a technique to allow the dog to sit without even saying anything. See, that's what I like when they do Iron Fist like more than just the aggro aspect of him. Like there's more to the chi than just the attack, you know. Okay, so we get a flashback. So they're playing Monopoly. I actually like Monopoly. Dang, for like a grown man or like a teenager, he was being mean to some little kids. Yeah, if you really read the comics, you kind of like delve into like, because it shows his parents. You delve into the significance of his relationship with his father and his like similarities with his father. And I like I said, I recently just watched the the Immortal Iron Fist. Um, it was by the same guy who did the Hawkeye series. I mean the Hawkeye comic book series. Matt Fraction, and that was just kind of delves into that whole backstory of his father. And there's one big change that they did with that, um, and let's see, it stopped. Well, I'll just continue later on. So this is gonna be like a part one type situation with Iron Fist episode one, season one. And I'm just gonna like kind of talk about why I'm even doing this. And it's because I want to make sure that when I'm making this short film, it's being respectful to what was already established in the MCU. Obviously, we're doing something different from the show, but at the same time, I still want to pay homage to that, to the to, like, I would consider this the source, like a source material, like, in a way, because it's technically canon now, especially with Daredevil Born Again kind of confirming that. So we really have to handle this character with care. Granted, I'm not going to be playing Danny Rand, but I'm going to be playing Lin Lai, so that should be a very you know good way of maintaining that consistency within the lore and all that. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Stay tuned for the rest of this. I'll try to do the rest of episode 1 soon, and have a great rest of your day.